What is up, internets? Thank you very much for tuning in to this very special Halloween.
Get out. Get out.
Alright, that's us. Alright, internets, it is a very special Happy Halloween episode. Before we get into the movie that we'll be talking about today, just wanted to, first of all, thank you to our 146 holding strong subscribers. For some reason, we seem to be stuck at 146. It's honestly kind of scary, but not in the good way. So, if you
146, what's 6 plus 4?
10?
What's 6 plus 4 plus 1?
Ooh.
11, but go ahead.
So if you are watching this and you have not subscribed, click subscribe. If you are watching this and you have subscribed, thank you very much. What you can do to help us or get more subscribers. Our goal is 1,000 in 365 days. We'll come up with something special once we hit like that first plateau of 250. But the way you can help us out and support the show is share. Just like it, share it. Tell people to check it out. Word of mouth is key here. We're not putting any money into marketing or anything like that, so we're kind of relying on if you enjoy what you're seeing to let your friends know that you enjoy what you're seeing. But please do that. Please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching another episode, and let's get into this week's film.
Before we do that, I have a pitch to make. Just subscribe. What do we have this week, David?
We are covering Jordan Peele's second psychological thriller, Us.
And that's right, David. We're not talking about me, we, you. We're talking about us. And this is one of the first films of the season where I think me and you equally agree. This was like our pick, not just my pick or your pick. And as far as
I think we might actually both agree on the
I think if we're foreshadowing, I think this may be the first time. There's going to be no disagreement here today, folks. I can tell you that. But when we talk about Us, I can only talk about it from a biased perspective because it's one, and that's yet again what's going to make this a film that stands out on its own. And one of the common denominators of the films that we've done this year and this season is that they all can stand out on themselves. They all transcend time, and this is another one of them. One of the hardest things you can do after making a psychological thriller is follow up with another one. And so when we discuss Us, Us follows an inner journey. I don't want to give away too much. That's what you're watching the show for.
Oh no, give stuff away.
Okay, I will.
Warning now, spoilers. There's no way we're getting into this without spoilers being all over the place ahead. We'll try to let you know before we spoil something as we're in real time, but you should watch them. You should have seen the movie before you're watching this episode.
And so what you perceive the movie to be is a young girl who was emotionally traumatized by something at the beginning of her life, and so for the rest of her life, clearly she has issues when she's in a certain area, and she's somewhat had to go to counseling to try and live a normal life. And when we meet her, she seems normalized. She has a family, all the things that give you a good foundation, and it's not until she returns back to, as they would say, the scene of the crime, to where she starts to break down, and all these barriers, these safe havens she has break down. Like, she's more protective of her family, things she starts seeing coincidence. And so as what we figure out is, for one reason or another, there is a different version of you. Now, one of the things, again, we'll get into it later, but it's just an elevator pitch. But basically, the family that she is the head of fights another family that she is the head of. And so what we wind up with is a great thriller of inner battling demons, and what we really figure out in the end is who is really the demon. But we'll talk about that later, David.
All right, solid elevator pitch.
Thank you.
Talking during the movie, you go first, because I had to go on to like an additional page here for this one.
I did that as well. You like what I did with my little Us versus Us thing there? Kind of trying to do it. Yes. One of the first things I want to start with this is, of course, Jordan Peele, who gave us Get Out. But one of the things that I learned, and I didn't recognize the first 10 times I saw this movie, was Monkey Paw Productions. And so what we learned is it's not just Monkey Paw, which is ironic to me. I find that very funny. But like I got my hand on everything that's going on. You notice that the Monkey Paw is spinning the teacup from Get Out. That's his animated logo. That was amazing. interesting to me.
Very cool.
Yes.
So I told you I cut my hair today. I do it myself at home, and there was an interesting parallel between what happened with cutting my hair and doing this episode today. So I cut my hair outside, and there's this like big mirror. The frame broke off of it, so it's just kind of like it has the exposed like glass kind of rough and sharp on the edges. And I moved the mirror over to where the chairs are and the extension cord. I plugged my shit up and I cut my hair. So today I moved the mirror over. I sat it up where I usually put it, and it fell over and it sliced my. I don't want to say slice. I don't want to be over dramatic, but it hurts a little bit. It cut me. It left a mark on me. It fell, and as I was trying to catch it, it cut my arm up. And I just, afterwards, I thought, how ironic. We were doing Us today, where the tethered version like attacks you from a mirror world, and you know
That's
ironically
very ironic.
Appropriate. Yeah.
I just hope it wasn't 11 a.m. when that happened.
Yeah.
That's very ironic. One of the things I want to go.
Actually, yeah, it was probably about that time.
I can't trust anything you're saying right now. With that being said, one of the things that, of course, we first noticed. Okay, and again, to me, I love when scene like there's a reason why the phrase "draw you in" means something with a camera angle, somebody crawling in on the scene. And so when we first start the film, well, not when we first started, but when we first meet the modernized world, one of the things we see as it's drawing in on that TV, talking about they say certain lines like "American can tether together," which is even hearing that you can tell it's movie placement, but at the same time, it's meant to psychologically play on you. But the one thing I noticed off in the cut. Things always happen for a reason, and I don't know whether it's the set designer or whether it's Jordan Peele, but one of the things I noticed was in the little, as the TV's there, it has little things around it. One of the things you see is a Rubik's Cube, and it's not done, and it freaks me out. I'm like, they're letting you know from the beginning, as we're drawing you in, you're going to have to figure it out. It's not, it's meant to play the Rubik's Cube, just when you think you got it, you don't, and we'll talk about that later with this film.
And on that same scene, that opening scene, it's so perfect to let you know what you're in for with this movie. So that same shot that you're talking about where the Hands Across America is on TV, which of course plays into the end, but yeah, it's all about what's happening around the television. So like on the left side you have, and I've never seen the movie, so I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Chud or Chud. I'm gonna call it Chud just because it's less syllables. So on the left you have Chud and the Goonies. These are two movies that are about creatures underground, adventures underground.
Sloth.
Yeah, so that's on the left side, and to the right you have The Right Stuff, which is, of course, that's above ground. So that was an interesting thing, and then the film on the right, also seen on around the movie, around the television, is The Man with Two Brains, which is another foreboding detail to the plot. And fun fact about the Chud VHS, that particular VHS version of the movie was not released until 1993. That scene takes place in 1986. So that's
Isn't a fun fact? I'm pretty sure the editor is not liking you right now.
Hey, get it right next time, and I won't have to. One more about that. And this isn't called. This is actually. This was a great plug, like that they put in there. Like this movie's so full, like subtle.
Oh, everywhere.
Like
everywhere.
It's completely immersing you every scene. But the Goonies. Sitting next to the television when they're eating the takeout, when they first get to where they're staying out there, the family's eating from a place called Copper Pots, which is a nod to Chester.
David Copperpot.
Chester
Copperpot. Oh wow! Awesome. Hey, there you go, brother. Now you're deep diving. That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome. One of the things that really got me is really the beginning. And like I say, you have to set up a film from the beginning. And from the beginning, what we see is, and it's funny, we didn't discuss this, but clearly I'm just how our brains work. I'm paying attention to one side of something, but we did not know we were going to discuss that. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was when we first started, a couple of different things for me. It was number one, when you look at the rabbit reference. To me, when it took me back to the film Prestige. And the film Prestige, they talk about when people are trying to imitate clones and create copies of something. For some reason, rabbits have always been used. And not to go too much into what I'm going to talk about later, but that's what made the opening scene so dope to me, because when we finally see young Lapita's character in the film, when they're zooming in on her eye, it flips back to the rabbit, and then that's when the opening part comes out. It's letting you know that all these rabbits have been experimented on, and then they talk about later in the film, like they just left us. And to me, that's what I want to mention. If you don't, this is really one of the few films where if you don't see the first 10 seconds, you have no idea what's going on. They set up the world that you're living in, that all these, for some reasons, which has been proven, they're underground. That was the Underground Railroad reference. There's these underground tunnels, these shafts, there's no explanation for them. Clearly they were manned at one time. And so it almost makes me go back and think, wow, all our life we've been taught to look, oh, there's a UFO. They're one of us wondering what's going on up there. No, what's going on down there?
Yeah. And the movie is so full of like little details that give you hints or clues about what's going on or what it's really about. 1111 is of course something that comes up time and time again, which I'll get into more in the big facts section. But another little detail that I noticed was in the toy closet in their house, you could see Guess Who. And what is the object of Guess Who? You get a card, and the object is to match the identical face to that card on the thing. So that was and there's so many other little things, and a lot of them we'll get into in Big Facts. But
one of the other things I notice is, like, I love when a director does his Easter eggs, and I love sometimes, I feel like I've known so much about film that I can sometimes make a reference to something that maybe even the director didn't know that he was doing subconsciously. And so one of the things that stood out for me was Jordan Peele clearly did Get Out, and I know we're talking about Us, but the beach scene at the beginning between the two moms. She's the Caucasian mom said something to the effect of like, oh, I got a little work done, just a little bit every year. They don't really know. And she's like, but not like you have to worry about that. Almost a little black doesn't crack reference. And it's almost like, it's a little subtle hint that that's exactly what happened in Get Out. Like, they loved us for our skin. And when her brother, oh, dude, you be a beast with your genetics. She's like, oh, you ain't got, so it's that little, even like, yeah, I got to get work done, but you ain't got to work. So it's a little subtle reference to me right there.
Yeah.
I gotta get mom her medicine.
And that whole, I think more so what the relationship of their friends versus them, what I took from it was this, like, the classism.
Oh,
like, like, it's all about, they were competing with each other. Like, right. Oh, you didn't. I thought I knew you'd forget the flare gun.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got the boat, but that's not good enough. You didn't get the flare gun. And look at the new car. He got that new car just to with me. And she's like, clearly it's working.
Right. Are you sure you're okay? Are you sure you're okay? Yep. Yes. As you sit there and drink your medicine, I'm fine. You don't want anything to drink? No, wino. I don't want anything to drink. Well, another one of the things that I want to mention here is that that one thing that cannot be dismissed is that clearly he went overboard. And only movie fans like us will see that he clearly went overboard. But to the regular moviegoer, you didn't see it. Every T-shirt almost worn in that film meant something to the Caucasian twins. One of them had on a shirt that said Black Flag. Winston Duke's character
was like 1111.
Yeah, right. So you're going to bring that up later. You did mention that Winston Duke had on the Howard University shirt, you know, and it's just so much the Jaw shirt about going to the beach. So clearly, that's what I wanted to bring up real quick. And I don't be mad if I didn't say it. Notice the first, and I don't know if you caught this, but hopefully this is, look in the camera so I can see if you're really mind blown. Don't look at me, just listen. In the beginning, her dad, who I'm going to talk about later, or you were going down, Dad, got her a Thriller shirt. What was important to me about that was the Thriller video is a dual version of himself. It's the monster within him.
Yep.
Okay, all right, I believe you. Okay, awesome.
There's something about that in the Big Facts that I'll elaborate on more, like the red theme, the one glove.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, there you go.
So yeah, there's I know that we're usually talking during the movie, but there's so much, like, facts to dig into in the Big Facts section, and then there's, even in the things that I want to change about this movie, kind of, it's more so frustration with a lot of questions that the ending exposition leaves me with.
You do it again. You yourself every time. This is the second time you've done this shit. You tell us that now you want it wrapped up, but when in Rounders, when they wrapped it up, they didn't leave you with questions. You had questions.
Right, when we get to that point, just you can let me know if I'm wrong for asking these questions.
All right.
All right, so I have one theory that, and I have a lot of theories about this, but one that I want to get into now, which we kind of got into during the interview with Lon, is I noticed that they only seem to kill their own doppelgangers, and I thought that was blown out of the water until we talked to Lon, because I thought that his character may have died by the hands of the daughter's doppelganger. But as we find out in the interview, spoiler alert for the interview, he does not die. His character doesn't die. So my theory holds strong that, like, if you think about the Wilsons died at the hands of the Wilsons, the same for the Tylers. Even though both of them had the opportunities at different occasions in the movie to take out the other doppelgangers, they may toy with them, they may stick a pair of scissors in their leg or something like that, but they never actually off them.
I think that's done for two reasons. Number one, it when you think about at the beginning of the movie when Lupita character meets Lupita, notice that first thing she has herself do is tether herself to the table in front of her family, so she tethers herself. Then after she sends everybody on their own mission, which lends to your point, what she does is she's the normal, as you will, Lupita asks her, "Why are you doing this? What do you want?" And then the tethered version of Lupita's character at this point pushes her face down and makes her look at herself in that mirror of the table. And she's like, it has to be slow. She has to make her feel it the same way she had been saying she's feeling these things. So hard time. He's been working on this character so much, and that was very good. Also, to, like I say really quick before we leave this, is what makes you, I do agree with you, is when the mom from the beach clearly has a chance to kill Lupita's character. She's sitting there right there. She has it, and she won't do it. Like, they'll play with them, but it's almost, I believe the tethered Lupita ordered all of them because she said he looked up to her as a god, almost like in the Philippines. She says she looked up to him, so her instruction may have been, the truest joy is you killing your own tethered person, so don't take that from anybody. Yeah. They've already taken so much from us. I would have loved to see that speech. And last but not least, really quick before we get off this, just to blow your
I got one more thing too.
All right, well, let me blow your mind, and he has one more thing. If you notice, the only one of the tethered, which was a key indicator that was able to speak, was Lupita. The only one. There was a reason for that, which we'll discuss later. But what's funny to me is that Winston Duke's character did his own M'Baku call to himself. It's like, oh,
and he's out on the boat getting frustrated.
We're right back in Wakanda. Like it's
he's
nobody's
an honorable
business.
mention for sure.
Go ahead, sir.
So, like, watching this movie after watching the movie, and spoiler alert, red is Adelaide, Adelaide is red. So there's that's kind of the twist at the end. So once you watch it and you see that and you go back and watch it again, there's just things that you notice where they're letting you know the entire movie that red is actually, or that Adelaide is actually red. You see her, like, when they're playing I Got Five on It in the car, she's telling Jason to get on beat. She's snapping off beat. Like, she can't even keep the rhythm. She tells Elizabeth Moss's character that she has trouble talking. She's only seen drinking water. She's never seen eating or drinking anything, with the exception of when they're eating the fast food at the table. She's like, it's always red, a strawberry. It looks kind of bloody,
meat, like a rabbit,
or a candy apple, like in the very beginning. So there's
another movie they did that. We had filmed that movie Kill. We saw that, and that they kind of
that will make an appearance in this episode.
Oh, go figure.
She's and then when she's killing one of the twins, she kills the twin with the scissors, which I thought was telling. And then even when Jason comes in, her son, and sees her, it's almost like he caught her in her true spirit, and she was kind of panting, like, what?
You don't get to do that. That's my big finale.
Okay.
You can't come over before. I think
all right, I'll move on. Let's just move on.
Let's move. All right, we're moving on, guys. Make the music.
All right, it is time for big facts. Appropriately so, we have 11 facts today, so let's get right into them. Number 11, 1111. 1111 can be spotted often in this film. It is the perfect numerical representation for sets of twins. It's a reference to the Christian Bible verse Jeremiah 11:11 about God allowing evil to come upon people. When we see the baseball game, it is tied at 11-11. Even more, one of the teams playing are Minnesota. Minnesota's team name? Twins. When the Wilsons visit the beach, the bird's eye view of them reveals long shadows resembling 11-11, also alluding to the idea of dark versions of themselves being connected to them. Going a little deeper, the idea of twins or doppelgangers, two same things coming together to create one whole. 1 and 1 creating 11, 11, 11. The scissors used are two blades. They come together, placed together to create one weapon. Even the song used throughout the film, I got 5 on it. What's this about? This references two people coming together, each with $5 to purchase one dime bag. It's not about drugs. Don't do drugs.
You've been in my notebook. Right? You're out of here, whatever. And one last thing to the 11-11 reference is that the guy we see or think is a scarecrow at the beginning or whatever, the guy that we see in the ambulance that had the sign 11-11, if you notice, when they show one of the main doppelgangers at the end, he's the one that comes and gets in line. Like, he killed himself. Like, even the own person the crazy person killed himself. So, yeah, go ahead.
Number 10, influenced. So, going right along with the theme of 11, before they started shooting this movie, Jordan Peele had the cast watch 11 horror films before filming so everyone could be on the same page. Those films were Jaws, Dead Again, The Shining, The Babadook, It Follows, A Tale of Two Sisters, The Birds, Funny Games, Martyrs, Let the Right One In, and The Sixth Sense.
Very good, very good. If you're going to have 11, that's a good 11.
Number 9, Bunny Stuff. What is it with Jordan Peele and rabbits? He plays a stuffed bunny named Bunny in Toy Story 4. The song Run Rabbit Run is used in the opening scene to his film Get Out. And Us opens with the wall of caged rabbits, which end up being a reoccurring theme throughout the movie. Even the word on Zora's hoodie is the Vietnamese word for rabbit. And side note about the rabbits in the beginning of the film, if you look, they're set up in rows of 11 going down.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, I counted it today when I watched it because I just thought, it's like, it's got to be something here.
I did notice they were only able to duplicate one black rabbit. I don't know what's going on in that experiment.
It's, the ratio, minority, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Number 8, Jason. The son's name is Jason. He wears a mask. A nod to Jason Voorhees. And spoiler alert, another detail shared by the two Jasons is that their mothers both turned out to be...
No, that's according to your opinion. We don't know that.
No, there's no opinion about it. Their mothers...
Yeah, it is.
Their mothers...
Nope, I can't let you say it. It's open to interpretation. Nope.
All right, well, fine. According to my interpretation, their mothers turned out to be the actual villain. A subtle hint that Adelaide is actually red.
You know who's a real villain? Joe from Rounders.
All right, we're back on that. All right. But not Killmonger.
No, he's good. He's still good. He's good.
Number 7, Tethered Top. Us's opening weekend box office numbers earned it the top spot for original horror films and the second highest grossing in original live action films, with Avatar holding strong to the number 1 spot. And if you think about it, Avatar is another movie about tethered people.
Two different worlds. Also, that just fucks us up with that Aliens Jamie Lee Curtis thing.
Yeah.
That's something already inside you. My shadow. The girl had one.
And on Christmas.
This f***er here, man. Hey, if y'all do Us and Them, we need to be in there. Go ahead.
Us and Them. Number 6, cameo. Jordan Peele's voice makes a cameo in the film as the Funhouse narrator.
Speaking of that Funhouse, you realize it changed names?
Yes, to signify like how times had changed before it was okay.
But it still said "Find Yourself." The sub message was.
But they did away with the Indian reference because that's not cool in 2020.
They still haven't done away with Columbus Day though.
Number 5, You Don't Know Jack. Duke Nicholson's characters are named Danny and Tony, the tethered version. Jordan Peele directed him to play the part like Lloyd the bartender in The Shining. Peele did not realize at the time that he was speaking to Jack Nicholson's grandson.
Intriguing.
Number 4, Get Out. The words Get Out, Jordan Peele's previous film, of course, can be seen carved into the sides of the entrance to the Hall of Mirrors. Number 3, and these last 3 are going to have some heavy spoiler alerts.
Child's Play.
Without thinking about it, the appearance and plan of the tethered seem so random, but they are influenced by Adelaide's last memories of her life above ground. She chose the Michael Jackson Thriller shirt at the carnival, a fan of Michael Jackson. All of the tethered wear one glove. Hands Across America was one of the last big pop culture events that took place before she was imprisoned underground, so it all kind of makes perfect sense when you consider who's orchestrating these things and what her motives might be.
Speaking of Hands Across America, I'm going to cheat real quick. Winston Duke, it was going to be an audible mention, but it's a perfect segue to that one. When he saw the Hands Across America actually happening, he quotes, "What is this, some kind of up performance art?" I lost it. I was like, yeah, I can, yeah, it kind of with me.
He Gabe, that's his character name, right?
He got like
Gabe,
6 out of my 10 quotes.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the. She shined. Lupita shined as the performer, but he shined as just like being an entertaining person to watch.
He has range. Winston has range.
Yes. Number 2, Thriller. Another spoiler alert here. Speaking of Michael Jackson's Thriller, as mentioned, the film opens with the shirt being won for Adelaide by her father. This foreshadows the ending to the film in the first few minutes. The Thriller music video concludes with a question regarding the identity of the main character, a question that is only punctuated with an ominously suggestive smile. And number 1, Truth in the Blood. Another spoiler alert here. As Adelaide's shirt becomes more and more drenched with blood as the film progresses towards the big reveal, the details are in the blood before the words are said out loud. By the time we find out that she is in fact the tethered, her shirt is nearly totally dark red.
If they're following along with that. You can say, right. We can say, how can you not follow along? But we're here to educate our fans who are average fans to make them super fans of film.
All right.
So let's do our job. A great job. And those are the big 11 Fikes.
All right. So in the vein of Halloween, for this special segment of Big Facts, we have the top 11 psychological thrillers. All right. Number 11. I Am Going to Kill Someone This Friday. So right off the bat, I'm going to let you know this is a biased list. So, of course, more
like a buy this list.
Hey,
what are you talking about?
I didn't put it up in the top 3 or anything like that, but if I'm going to write and direct and cut a psychological thriller, it would be a failure if it wasn't a psychological thriller that could end up on this list that I actually want to see and enjoy watching. So I think our film succeeded in earning at least the last spot on this list that's filled with other movies.
You've got Jordan Godfrey, Thomas Adele, Tarian Royal, Tracy, Campson from Fox's Next Great Small Chef, and you're telling... Just go. All right,
I'm going to kill someone this Friday. Google it. Yeah. So, number 10, Us. Us makes it on this list in spite of the last portion of the film's exposition-heavy explanations that create more questions than they do answers. And I know we'll get into that. The rest of the film is so good that I can forget that part. Like Jordan Peele's Get Out, Us creates a dialogue for the audience to enjoy long after the movie is done. And number 9, Shutter Island. Shutter Island plays out so perfectly. A fantastic story, even without the twist at the end. The performances, the scenery, the allure of the mystery makes this an enjoyable film to watch regardless of how it ends. And then the ending comes and blindsides you with a well-thought-out twist that is as mind-bending as it is devastating.
Were you sober when you wrote that? Because, what do you mean? There was a twist at the end.
Yeah, I'm saying it would have been just as good without it.
Oh, so you didn't need... you needed the savor the flavor. It was going to be good.
You don't even need the twist.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
The twist comes and it's like...
I agree.
It doesn't take away from it. It adds to it.
I agree.
Number 8, Get Out. When I first heard that Jordan Peele wrote and directed a horror film, I thought it was a joke. Now I await with anticipation for Jordan Peele's next horror film. Get Out was such a simple and elegant approach to all of the things that make a great psychological thriller. It leaves more for interpretation than it provides an exposition. It's like a terrifying parable that came at the perfect time in our society.
I concur.
Number 7, Black Swan. Darren Aronofsky's approach to psychological horror is pitch perfect. Even when something terrible isn't happening, you have a feeling that something terrible is happening. The aesthetic is cold and cool. The performances are just as cold and just off enough to stay grounded yet unsettled. Number 6, your favorite Vanilla Sky. You know this had to be on my top. At least I didn't put it in the top 5. Made it right there on number 6. This is such an emotionally... I need you to hear this. This is for you. This is such an emotionally devastating and gratifying ride of visceral human feelings and reactions. The soundtrack, the performances, the genre-bending nature of it, it is near perfect.
Number 5, Mother. The best psychological thriller should be polarizing. And Mother, certainly polarized. But just being polarizing doesn't make it a great film. Darren Aronofsky, and I'm talking about D-Man, listen, he returns to the list for a second time because his film was so well crafted and delivered like perfectly. I mean, almost a 10. The metaphor is obvious, but the ride is is so insane. And the imaginative to watch and dissect, Mother.
Number 4, The Sixth Sense. This one changed the psychological thriller genre. From this point on, if a psychological thriller didn't come with a twist that knocked me off my feet, it would be compared unfavorably to The Sixth Sense. That earns its spot on the list.
So it's number 666. I got number 4.
Number 3 is a movie that you refused to watch because his
Jesus
first
Christ,
film
was
up so bad.
What's going on here?
Hey,
What's the worst that can happen coming up? Jesus.
Midsummer. This film lands on the top 3 due to its innovative approach to the genre. It manages to immerse the viewer in the emotionally unstable mindset of the protagonist, to feel the hellish ride she is on, to feel the confusion and horror and heartache she experiences, and ultimately feel an odd sense of relief in her liberation in the film's climactic and disturbing moments.
That's what he said.
Number 2, The Shining. Stanley Kubrick meets Stephen King meets Jack Nicholson, and the tension is real behind the scenes and on camera. Kubrick's attention to detail and signature style of filmmaking makes The Shining feel like something more than just a movie.
Hey, have you seen Tommy? Mm-mm. Well, here's Johnny.
Honorable mentions go to Joker, Silence of the Lambs, The Butterfly Effect, but only the director's cut version. Hey, they made it.
I like
too.
The Butterfly Effect, though. I do.
The ending in theaters was a little too like, oh, here's everything worked out. Yeah. The director's cut version is a baby killing himself, a self-abortion. Watch it. Watch the director's
subordination.
Cut. Donnie Darko, Requiem for a Dream, 7, Fight Club, Taxi Driver, Side Effects, The Game, The Cell, Hard Candy, Primal Fear.
Edward Norton's going to curse you out.
The Exorcist, Frailty, rest in peace, Bill Paxton, and Memento.
Furthermore, Edward Norton's pissed that he's even on the list with any of those. He doesn't want to be on the list anymore.
Yeah. Well,
it was a challenge.
Come meet me in the editing room, Edward, and tell me how to edit this.
He's already there.
Number 1, American Psycho. American Psycho is the nihilist response to the need for some gotcha, fleshed out, in-your-face twist ending to a psychological thriller. The ending makes you wonder about the entire film you just watched. You can rewatch it again and again, interpreting it differently every time. It is a subtle, while being over-the-top when it needs to be, psychological exploration, leaving you as the audience just as in the dark about mental illness as we collectively are as a society still. Those are my top 11 plus some honorable mentions psychological thrillers that you should check out this Halloween season, especially Vanilla Sky, right? All right, let's move on to 7 Minutes in Heaven.
All right, let's talk about something that really matters. All right, guys, we are back. 7 Minutes in Heaven, and you know what it is? We're talking about the best scenes that we really just loved in this film. And for me, if I'm going to start it out, for me, one of the first things that really stuck out to me was the family ride to the beach. When they are riding in the car, to me, it was so, it took me down a trip down memory lane. It was so nostalgic just to see the different dynamics at play in the car. You have the son making the Uranus joke, and the dad's like, hey, what are you doing? And which this is one of the one of the scenes that made both of my lists. It made one of my best quotes too, because the son says, "Point one finger at me, you got three pointing back at you." So you got that happening. You got the daughter straight off of like she's seen Netflix, The Social Dilemma. She's like, "Do you know they put fluoride in water and I can kill you?" So you got your conspiracy theorists. The dad, who is just like, he drops the line that you drop, who's also made my best quotes. He says, "The song's not about drugs. It's a dope song. I got 5 on it, but don't do drugs." Like, he's all over the psychedelics. Like, he is that. Don't even get me started on him. And then, like you say, you got the mom. You didn't hear it. The mom, she wasn't snapping on beat. She's trying to get her son to snap on beat, which lets you know, yeah, black may not crack, but all black people don't have rhythms. Like, so let's get the shit out of there. They don't. She was clearly off. And then yet again, like, the whole family is riding to the beach, and a song about 2 people coming together and working together instead of killing each other. Like, so while they're coming towards their demise, the song is telling, like, man, let's just get together, smoke a blunt, man. We are the world. We are the children, or we are the tethered.
I would say, so I'll start with my third favorite scene is Elizabeth Moth's death scene. That whole moment in the house with Elizabeth Moth's character and Tim Heidecker. The punchline when she's trying to tell the equivalent of Siri, I can't remember, Ophelia, I think.
Ophelia.
Which is like,
call the cops.
Yeah, and then or call the police. And then the police ends up playing to like soundtrack her death. I thought that was brilliant. And I think Ophelia, I can't remember what language it is, but it means help in whatever language it translates from.
I will segue with you. That was one of my scenes as well, to see that thing happening. But we're going to talk about that later. Matter of fact, let me go in from there, because I'm going to stay on that scene. Well, also in that scene, which cut to like within a 15-minute block. My attention was at its all-time high because of the fact that I saw the dynamic. I was subconsciously, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Jordan Peele, since you can't say it. Ironically, I'm gonna be Key's character when he plays the other guy, like that can say stuff that other people can't say it. What he was letting you know that in his mind, we were 74 minutes into the film. The black family had not been killed yet. The white family's clones show up, and within 45 seconds, they were all I saw that. I'm like, what the fuck? Whoa. I had to look at the runtime. We were 70 minutes in. So much shit had happened. They saw, like, either, I'm not saying that white families are less defenseless. What I'm saying is, whatever they were doing, their tethered hated them so much more, they didn't have time to explain it. Like, hey, no.
Yeah.
It's f***ing crazy.
Yeah, they showed up ready to kill.
It's f***ing crazy.
Let's talk this out.
Nope.
Yeah, there was no black on black crime did not exist.
Oh no, he wasn't having that. He was not having that.
He flipped the script on us.
All the way. Literally flipped the script. All the way, yes. Go ahead.
My number 2 scene is there's a family in our driveway. Gabe is the one that, this scene is like the perfect mix of like humor and tension and suspense, and Gabe makes it. Like, he walks the line perfectly between being scared, nonchalant, trying to be hardcore about it.
I said the cops is on their way.
Yeah, I already done told y'all.
Big John. Oh my gosh. He wanted to be in Baku so bad he couldn't channel in Baku at all.
He came out with that bad, when he's on their way. He went real deep with it. And then like you immediately are like, you're laughing, and then all of a sudden it's when they disperse, like you're like, oh shit, that's right, I'm in a horror movie.
But speaking of the disbursement, before you move on to the next scene, notice the disbursement was, and it leads to your point from 30 minutes ago, they can only kill each other, and they know how each other thinks. When they disperse, the girl went to the girl's room. You see her climbing the tree. The boy went after the boy. The husband went after the husband. Girl, like, it was like they knew their mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, one of the scenes that you probably did not think I was going to come up to. So they're in this summer boathouse, whatever. Clearly at their home where they live at, they may have like a king emperor sized bed. But in this house where the parents are at, they have like a small queen princess bed or whatever. So after he's sitting there lazily up front and telling her, I'm going to watch the game, I'll be there in a minute. He comes in there and this motherfucker positions like, where's the testosterone?
And he just goes, hey.
Right, like, hey, come get on this joyride or some shit like this. Like, you don't even want to pound your wife. You want her to come ride you. Fast forward, She is having a breakdown. She is shaking, telling you her most intimate fears. And he was like, well, if it's a clone of you, I can kick your ass. So we should, like, your wife's breaking the down, dude, and you're Winston Duke. What are you doing?
All right. In his defense, you saw the boat he got. That's
the crawdaddy.
He is splurging.
The crawdaddy.
He is splurging. He is rubbing 2 nickels together to make a dime.
Oh, I didn't feel that at all. I feel like they had money.
I
mean, not money, but
I mean, he was
being a black dad.
He was jealous of the guy's car. He tried to get the boat to like live up to that. I feel like he this is the trip once a year that they like. Or the trip that they take once a year.
Well, he always gets outdone and he finally want to do it, yeah.
But he has invested in this, and now so he's just like, can we just dissolve this tension with a little bit of humor and try to make this thing work?
Oh, he did too much of that. One thing you'll notice real quick, and I'll let you go to your point. Speaking of the boats, the one boat was named Crawdaddy. When they went onto the white boat, you didn't see it. It looked like it said yacht. The name of the yacht was Biatch.
Yeah.
You caught that? You called? All right. Yeah. Yeah, do your research.
You watch a Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah.
All right, my number one scene is Red's introduction scene. Where once upon a time, a girl in the shadow. That whole monologue. Mm-hmm. I remember the first time watching it when you hear her voice for the first time, and you're just like, "What the f?" Mm-hmm. And then you're like, "All right, it's so." Unsettling. Her demeanor is so dark and interesting to observe. The like nightmarish descriptions of her words, and then that where she goes, "Who are you people?" and she's like, "We're Americans."
That was
right there
oh
sealed
my
the
gosh.
deal that this movie is an allegory on classism in America.
My honorable mention before I go to my number one, it brought me back to us watching Tenet. We watched Tenet where 2 people battled themselves, but one person knowing what they were going to do, but the other person fighting in reverse. When we watched Lapida's character's duel in the end of the film based off the ballerina, like for 98% of the fight, you see Red's character win because of the fact that like they know each other. They say that they know how we think, and it's like, damn, this is the first time where I'm hearing a ballet duet in the background, composer wise, mm-hmm. and I'm watching her move with such grace. This isn't an all-out girl fight. This is nothing like a girl fight. This is 2 people, and if you really know who they are, that's what's really trippy. Like, who really adapted to what world better? But we'll talk about that later. But that was just my honorable mention. But I have to do this. My number one scene in the film, I thought all day about and all week about what to liken this to, and I can't think about what I want to liken it to. But I will tell you this. Kick-Ass is one of the things that came to mind. But for me, as the police is still playing in the background and it's fading, that's why I say it's a 15-minute high. My high was capped off by watching Big Sis and Lil Bro run through that house. And when I saw Lil Bro grab the heart-shaped herb from Wakanda, it had to be where there was some meteor that crashed in Wakanda, and then the young lady grabs the golf club and they're walking through this house like, yo, I don't know what happened to mom and dad, but hey, it's me and you and Big Sis got you. Like, I've never had a big sister, but I would love for that to be my big. And when you saw, like, when she killed the first, but like, you know what? I can do this. I'm about to be on some straight up murder shit. Like,
and what I really liked about, I remember the first time I saw that scene, I remember thinking, this is so nice compared to most horror movies where you're screaming at the people on the screen to be smarter, to like run. It's like even the stereotype with black people in the movie theater, like run, run. No. Jordan Peele gave his people no opportunity to act crazy in the theater because his characters are smart. They're like, even the kids, the way they're going, like the way
it's almost like they screened it and didn't have an end to it. They saw the weapons and then they let like 1,000 black people screaming, and all he listened to was get the rock, grab the golf club.
The part that I love the most is when they first get up the stairs and the daughter shuts that door before they walk past it. Most movies would have taken the low blow on that and been like, let's leave that door open so we gotta have some false suspense, like there's an open door behind you. Like, no, she's not even having that. She's seen horror movies. I'm shutting this door before. But yeah, it was good.
When that little girl did that flip, she was not though. She's like, what's that flip? Like, what that's another thing. She just didn't swing and she was like, hey,
fucking ninja tethered over here.
What the God.
All right, it is time for Scene Stealers. Who was the best actor, actress, artist in this film? And I think this might be an unprecedented episode where we land on the same person. I have an honorable mention and the winner. What do you have?
For me, when you talk about it, I really went through this film, and my honorable mention would be Winston Duke. For as far as when let's be honest, we met Winston Duke in Black Panther. I'm pretty sure he's been a part of other projects, but for me, M'Baku would be one of those characters. If I was a child, how we still talk about Sloth, how we talk about other characters from our childhood and things we've seen. Mm-hmm. He was just that powerful, and that's tough. As an actor, when you're going to do something like that, you run the risk of being typecast and only being remembered as one thing. To me, the reason why he's my honorable mention for this, he did such a great job of making me hate him. When he was in Baku, I only saw him as great African warriors, but still compassionate to a life. He was still a strategist, things of that nature. And to see him not be head of household in this film, but not just like, he made me not. If he did a bad job, he would have made me be like, oh, he was there, but he wasn't really there. No, he was obviously not there so much that it was like, dude, you went. He was almost like kind of Urkelly. He went from M'Baku to. So he's my honorable mention. But when it goes,
oh wait, don't go into that yet.
Oh no, I'm not going into that yet. But when it goes to this film, we had a lot of great performances. Clearly, a lot was asked of the child actors, but my honorable mention does go to Winston Duke.
My honorable mention also goes to Winston Duke because, again, his range from Black Panther to this shows that he can, between those two characters, I'm confident he could pretty much play anything because he was the opposite of a corny dad, and he embodied a corny dad so perfectly in this. Before we get to our, what I know is both of our number one, a quick recap, first episode on the board. With Black Panther, we have Okoye, and second episode, Tenet, we have Robert Pattinson. Third episode, The Living Wake, we have Mike O'Connell. Fourth episode, Rounders, we have Edward Norton. No, we gave that to you, didn't we? Matt Damon.
Well, yeah, Matt and Damon. Yeah, we can give it to me, but
Matt Damon is on the board.
Yes, he's on the board. Okay. For how he stood up to Joe. It
should have been Edward. All right, Matt Damon's on the board, Rounders, and then paid in full, Wood Harris, not Mekhi Phifer. And this episode, I think, is going to be an easy, no draw. Let's just say it at the same time. In 3, 2, 1. Our number one is
Lupita Nyong'o. Well, whatever. Whatever. Yeah. Wait, that. Lupita.
Queen Lupita.
For me, I'm gonna let you take most of it, but I'll just sum it up by saying this: is that to me, one of the hardest things to do, as we just mentioned, is to show range, but to show range in one film.
Yeah.
To have to not only show range as two different people, but she also still had to embody the little girl that played her character in the beginning. It's like when you notice those things, and it's just like, man, she truly is an artist at what she does. And for me, I couldn't take my eyes off of her. And not only that, for me, I'm pretty sure I have it all in my notes from the things that we've researched, is that she was just so strong, man. I mean, just like, I can relate to that so much as seeing with having a strong mother. I can relate to seeing these, like, she at any given, she was even looking at her husband at her like, what? I got it, man, whatever. Like, that we ain't got no time for this right now. Like she was so strong. Now, in the end, we do find out if you paid attention, we find out where she gets that strength from. But I will say this, is that for her range, her attention to detail, how she was hugging her kids. I've seen moms hug their kids like that, like, protect the kids. Get your shoes. Call like nah. Oh, and speaking of that real quick, because I know we almost forgot that. What the were the cops? Like, don't think Jordan Peele did. They said specific.
They were 17 minutes away.
14 minutes away. 14. They said they were 14 minutes away. 30 minutes later, when we're on the couch, you don't hear no woo, woo, no SWAT team kicking in the door.
Like the kid said, there's too many twins.
Yeah, but I picked up on that, and that was everybody's excuse, but that was later on in the film. When they first made that call, wasn't popping off. And they said, we be there. They didn't say they weren't on hold, because remember when they made the call at their friend's house, they were on hold.
Well, they probably walked out of the station to their own doppelgangers waiting.
True. No, not true. Don't take up for him.
I'm not taking. I do not. I'm not. Taking
Oh, here we go. Here you go again.
They have an out in this instance. They probably were up against their own, and their doppelgangers that were probably some big racist white dudes that took no time in taking them out.
Way to come back. Say racist and you bring yourself all the way back. I'm you. Go ahead.
my thoughts on Napiera are the same. Like the range that she plays a protagonist that's actually the antagonist, as well as an extremely disturbing antagonist throughout the entire film. The complicated nuances that she portrays in the characters, especially the character who we think is Adelaide throughout the entirety of the movie.
Or maybe not be.
Like she is always deep in it, in the psychology of it. You just watch her eyes. You watch her, the little things that she does that the camera picks up on.
In their own way, aren't they both?
Yeah, but the when you go back and watch it knowing that Adelaide is red and you pay attention to her, you pay attention to like Adelaide's little quirks, little things that sets her off. Yeah, it's just she played that really well. And I mean, her performance as Red, just in that introductory scene alone with that monologue where she's explaining the difference between when they're going through this beautiful life, the tethered are going through this life, and you see the tears in the shot welling up in her eye and falling down.
What's synonymous about that shot?
I don't know what.
It's the exact same shot from Get Out.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
So congratulations to Lupita for being our first unanimous
yes, very much
stealer.
And very well deserved. We both respect your craft and what you do, and it would be an honor in season 2 if you can come on to the show. So just shooting our shot.
I like the word choice.
What?
If she came on to the show, we certainly would be shooting our shot.
What do you mean? Is that another one of your... You know what? There he goes again. There he goes. And that brings us to, we're going to need a bigger
boat.
And speaking of boat, this is brought to you and sponsored by the Biatch Yacht Company here. You got some you need a yacht? Come to Biatch.
It's the Crawl Daddy.
All right, so listen. One of the things we definitely, it's funny, we've like half of my list we've already discussed, so I only have a few to go to. I mean, literally. So one of the ones that really got me dope, like really made me feel like a kid again. Like I felt like a nostalgia moment when I was a teenager. Like I could have felt this moment right after they do really good at callbacks. Mm-hmm. And for the first 20-30 minutes in the movie, they're sitting there talking about the teenage daughter's talking about driving. And she's like, I want to drive. He's like, why you got to drive? You're gonna be a world class athlete. Some of the corny dad would say. Fast forward like 50 minutes later, she's getting ready to drive. Her mom's like, get out. She was like, no, dad has a busted leg. You're in handcuffs. Yet again, she on that they didn't set her character up. They're doing all that, and so I'm gonna drive. And then I don't remember who said it first, but and she's like, plus I got the highest kill count in the family.
Oh, yeah,
and then like one.
I killed myself. Plus,
and then dad's like, no, I killed 2. I got the high. I'm like, wait a minute. So let me get this straight.
The way he said though, I killed myself.
Right. And speaking of that, that's what me up really. Is that to me? I'll get into that later because that's one of my quotes. You go ahead.
I don't have a lot of quotes for this one because this movie wasn't really dialogue rich. It was all in the visual. I really could have done with less dialogue. I'll get into that at the end. But
Christ.
Both of my quotes are from Gabe. My first one is when it's just his cheesy dad lines really is what tickled me as far as dialogue goes. When they're pulling up to the place and the kid's like, you know, they're complaining about not having their phones not working or the internet not working, and he says, you don't need the internet, you got the outer net.
Yeah.
Perfect dad joke. Sets his character up perfectly, and I got a chuckle out of it.
I definitely did too. One of these things that you probably dismissed or thought about writing it down, but it was so much going on that you didn't, was when she yet again, it goes back to the scene where they're in the bedroom together and she's explaining and pouring her heart out that she's been psychologically disturbed for years, and that moment where her husband should be so understanding, and he drops some old. No, I take that back. I don't want to mess this up. It happens later in their friend's house when they go there after they've been killed. They're sitting at a table. He was like, "No, we got everything here. Let's just stay here." She was like, "No, let's go to Mexico." He was like, "Whoa! If this really what's going on, let's set some traps like in Home Alone." She comes back
Damn
You seriously didn't just reference Home Alone.
Tell me you
Only
did
for
not.
the kids to say, what's Home Alone?
Yeah. What's Home Alone? Yeah. And what's a micro machine?
Yeah, right. That with me so bad. I felt like I was in 3 generations at once. Like,
well, you took my second one. That was my second and last one. Was
Oh.
Yeah, when he says let's set traps and stuff like Home Alone. It's really her response that sells that moment. It's just tell me.
like she really went like she broke character. She was Lapita for like 3 seconds in the movie. Like, you seriously didn't just quote. Like, she had no idea that was in the script. Let's set some traps like Home Alone. Oh man. If you didn't have anything else, the only other one let me say, this one's, we got the point the finger. We got this is the Ophelia. Let's set some traps. We hit all of them, man. And those, hey guys, those are the best quotes.
All right, let's us move on to cast, crew, or you.
Our guest today has been acting for nearly 3 decades. You know how many years that is? 30. Starring in television series such as The World Turns, Without a Trace, How I Met Your Mother, my personal favorite, 30 Rock, The Following, just to name a few. In films such as Don King, Only in America, Red Rum, and of course, Us. Today we have Miss Napiera Groves. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today, and how are you?
Good. I'm good. Thank you.
Reached out to you regarding Us, and clearly you got to play Dr. Foster. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've seen you in the film. I've seen the film at least 10 times, so I've probably seen you at least 8. You know why? Because I have to, this point of view, I feel like a peeping Tom. I'm looking at you, I'm like, yeah, that's her. No, it's her. No, let me in the room. I want to see her full, and it's like...
She's one of the only characters that you only see her through a mirror.
Yeah, and it is just crazy, but I wanted to say that to me, like, we see you be quirky, we see you do all these things in the past, but now you're being a serious doctor and it shows your range. So what was it like being on set, getting cast for that, and that experience? What was that like?
So that was wild. Us, it was just like a normal audition, except like I went into this really small with casting, left, didn't hear anything, and then they called and said, we want you for this role. We have a fitting like tomorrow. And I would say that was probably like in July or something. And I was like, wow, okay. And so I went to this fitting, but I knew nothing about this project. This project, you got to understand, was like top secret for a long time. In fact, it was under another name. I went out for a film called Cutters or something. It was like Cuts.
Yep. Hard cut or something
Yeah.
like that.
Cuts or cut or whatever. So knew nothing about it, got booked, went in for the fitting, and the fitting, she was the head of wardrobe. I didn't really know her, but when she kept talking, I realized when we did Superman or Batman or something, and I was like, wait, she did what? Then I'm looking around and I'm seeing Lupita on the wall. I'm seeing different people on the wall in wardrobe. And I called my manager, and then she's taking pictures, and they're like, well, we have to ask Jordan about this. I didn't know what they're doing. So I leave wardrobe, call my managers, I'm like, guys, what is this project? And they're saying Jordan. And are they talking about Jordan Peele?
Yes.
And my managers are like, hold on, let me check. I don't know. They didn't really know. So they went and looked. They were like, oh, yeah, it looks like it's that really secretive movie they've all been working on. I was like, how y'all didn't tell me this? How you didn't tell me I was going to be working with Jordan Peele? Like, what? Because I was already like such a huge, fan of the work. And, so that happened. Didn't hear anything.
Wow.
Had wardrobe. In the middle of that, I find out I'm pregnant. After my first fitting, I find out I'm pregnant. And fast forward to by the time it was time to shoot and get back in that outfit that I had shot that I did wardrobe for in July, it was now September or October, something like that. Mm. And I was showing a little bit because I was now several weeks pregnant, and I was like, holy shit. And it was the first time that I was like, oh, well, like where work didn't come first. And I was
Life came first, yes.
I was like, they're probably not, I'm going to get on this set. And I still hadn't told anybody. I was still in my first trimester, but I was definitely at the end of it. And I was like, I might not be able to do this project. I'm going to get on set. This is not who they hired. I don't know. And I got on set and I was nervous. And my husband was like texting me. He's like, so what happened? And I get in wardrobe. They bring the outfit to me. And I have a bit of a belly, but I just look like I have a belly. I don't look like I'm pregnant, but I just look like maybe a little poochy. But I got there, and that experience, I get on set, and first of all, Jordan Peele, I mean, we know him to be like this Academy Award winning person now, but we all knew him as, you know, on the show and being funny initially with Key. What's his name?
Key Michael Peele. Key Michael Key.
Something about their names together always.
Key and Peele.
I can't say them apart. I can say Key and Peele, but I can't say them apart. Anyway.
Cicely and Ebert. There we go.
So we're sitting there. I'm on set. He's giving direction. He's amazing. He's giving all this amazing fucking direction. And he's like so funny. He's hilarious. And he's like cracking jokes. And he's like, and we're like killing the scene. I'm on, like, Yaya's in the scene with me. And we're like doing this scene. And he's like, y'all motherfuckers didn't come to play. Y'all didn't come to play. Y'all killing this scene. Hold on. And he's like reading, going in and rewriting. He's like being that Peele, not like what I was, you know, this Academy Award winning Peele. He was being like the guy that we all like kind of fell in love with on the Comedy Central show. And you just forgot. Like, I forgot that he's funny as hell and kind and sweet. And fast forward, there was a moment where the girl that sits in, she's, you know, when we're doing lighting, and she's like, oh my God, how are you? She's like, how many months are you? And I was like, you could, and I blinked and tears just started coming down my eyes. And she goes, no, she's like, my mother works with children and moms, and I just knew from instinct. I didn't see. And I was like, but I'm gonna get fired. And I didn't get fired. Nobody knew. And then it was all over. And I told Jordan, and I was like, this has been great opportunity. And yeah, I thought I wasn't gonna be able to do it. I'm preggers. And he was like, you are?
So technically, this was the first role you and your kid got together, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Well,
There we go. All right.
he didn't get it. Hold on. He didn't book it with me. It's just that by the time I shot it, he was there. He didn't book it with me because he wasn't. I didn't know he was there. But yeah,
he was tethered and you didn't know it.
Yeah, he was like, you know, I didn't know. And then by the time I shot, yeah, he was definitely present. But as you can see in the movie, I'm sitting behind a desk. So God worked it all out. I'm not even
movie magic, love. It's movie magic.
I was gonna ask about that. When you were shooting those scenes, were you aware how the end result was going to look? That you were going to be it's almost like they're trying to put a veil between you and the audience. Like, I mean, the focus is obviously on the daughter in that scene, and it's her perspective seeing you through the mirror. Did you know that that's how it was going to play out?
So I figured it while we were on set. First of all, I got to tell you, this is the fastest film shoot I've ever been on my life. Like, I came in at 11 or 12, and I was out of there by like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And this is like a huge set movie. So I quickly knew, I will say this. He shot the film through the door. I mean, the camera's in the door facing me. And I'm talking to the parents. And I mean, you have Yaya there, and he was on his like rise doing all the stuff he was doing. And then, this sister's name, her name is escaping me, but the young woman that played the mom. And they're shooting, and we do all these takes, and and he's giving us notes, and we're all acting, and they're crying on the other side of me or whatever, and they're like giving me so much, and we're having these, and he never turned it around.
Wow.
He never did a turnaround. And I was like, wait, how does that work? I was like, wait,
where's my angle? I need mine. I'm gonna do me.
Well, no, it was all on me. He never turned it around on them.
Wow.
So the camera's in the door facing Dr. Foster because the camera is supposed to be what she saw, what the little girl saw.
Right.
So she's looking in, overhearing, and her image is just me talking to her parents. And he said, he was like, yeah, that's just how I'm gonna freak it. And he was like, we ain't turning around. I was like, what do you mean you're not turning around? He's like, yeah, we ain't turning around. I've never been on a set. I've never been on a film set or even a television set where they didn't turn around and get that other side. So
I'd love to hear what you're saying, because to me, what we try to do with our program is not, we have fun with the program, but we also try to teach people who are coming into film. And one of the things me and him decided to do years ago when we were going to do film is like, no, we're not going to go by the Hollywood standard of, I'm not going to berate or belittle an actor or an actress. I want to make them feel comfortable, because to me, that's how I'm going to connect to them and make them bring the best out of them. And it seems like, I mean, you're bringing insight we didn't know. Like you say, if I would have come on set with Jordan, I would think, okay, here's this Academy Award winning. He's not going to still be relatable too. And what you're telling is, you're pulling the curtain behind us and saying, this is actually happening. You've never been on a set like this. He knew what he wanted. He made you feel comfortable, and the result was what everyone wanted. So to me, it makes us test ourselves to say, as artists, that we have to stand up for what we know. I cannot go on set and let someone belittle me. You know, because I know who I am, and that's the Hollywood I want to live in. And I think that's what you guys are bringing. So I like that. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and he was so clear on how that was going to turn out. And he didn't even, what I was shocked on, like, even if he knew he was going to shoot it that way, you always get the other side just for safety, because in post, you'll want the safety of it. He was just like, nope, that's not what we're doing. And he was still like fun and still like, you guys are y'all are killing this game. Oh my God. Okay, let me make this tweet. Okay, can you say this line like this? Can you say, and like, it was all happening on the set. So the set felt very alive, but it also, I knew that this was a big budget film, and I also knew that it was very secretive. You did get that vibe that, like, once you were on the set, shut up, like, non-disclosures, everything. It was very, very quiet. Even from my trailer, like, I didn't, post anything crazy that would give anything away. But to me, I just thought, wow, when I finally saw the final product, I was like, God, that was so brave. Like, how did he just, like, and if he just did that with Milo scene, God knows how many other things he was doing throughout the film. But to not have even a safety net and turn that thing around, I thought was just like, and it turned out great.
When you watch his movies, there's so much attention to detail, and it's nice to know, like you say that, to know that these aren't just accidental details that someone who is just kind of experimenting their way through the process are accidentally landing on. That may be some of the case, but to know that he's somebody that actually, he has a clear vision, he knows exactly what he wants, and he shoots for it. That's the great thing about his movies, is that they have this interpretive quality where you can really look at all the little details and draw different interpretations from them. For you, what was your interpretation when you saw Us for the first time?
We were scared to death, my husband and I. We went to the cast and crew screening at Universal, and I was 4 days away from having the baby, and so I was very huge going to the premiere, or it was technically a screening. We were scared because we don't like scary movies. I know I've done a couple of them at this point, but we're like scaredy cats, and we don't really, like, we're scared. So we went in like this, and I was just trying to make sure I was still in it. Like, I wasn't sure. I mean, I guess because they asked me to come to the screening, I might be in it, but I wasn't sure. But when you only did a day of shooting in a huge film, you're like, did I even make the cut? So when we saw the film, we were thrilled that, one, it was watchable. It wasn't so scary and so gory that, and it was these amazing, beautiful Black folk doing characters that had levels, that had dimensions, that had interesting story and lines and history behind it. And so that was really cool. I mean, as far as interpretation per se, really, I had questions at the end of myself. And I remember the producer coming up to me afterwards, and he was like, And first of all, my husband and I, because when the scene comes back around at the end, in like retrospect, you know, when it's telling, my husband and I was like, yeah, came back around 2 for 1. We were like high-fiving. But the producer was just saying, like, he was like, yo, man, we went back and forth so much on that scene, and like just making sure it was a part of telling the story, because it's such a pivotal part, is when you realize that she wasn't speaking because it wasn't her, you know. It's so much an integral part. And he was like, man, he was like, it just you know, he was like, it was just so worth it shooting that scene.
Here's a testament to everything that you've done. I went back and watched it. I mean, we clearly have seen this a bunch of times, but I rewatched it about 3 nights ago. And what I discussed with him was earlier in the show was that I don't even know if you realize it, but your courage to, like I say, still go on set and do everything with your pregnancy and play that part, your character's part really is, it makes the film in the sense of this, because your character was the one that told them, if she's not speaking, express yourself in a different way, and she started expressing herself through dance. Ironically, that's what triggered everything that happened down there. When they saw her dancing with the tether, they're like, oh, you're different. So she became their leader. So had you not said that, we wouldn't even have a movie. Thank you so much.
That's what he was saying. I remember like, wow, it's really cool. But it's such a small, you think it's so small, but it ended up being
beautiful.
Very it comes back around and being very pivotal. And so yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, I had my baby on the opening day of the film, March 22nd. Oh. So
wow, what's 22 times, what's 22 and a half? What's half times 22? 11. Wake up, 11. We got you, man.
What? Yeah, it was I had the #1 movie in America and a baby at the same time. It was pretty. So my interpretation of Us was that it was a great gift.
Now, and I don't know if the story you just told, I don't know if anything could top that, but the last question we have about Us is if they're, aside from being pregnant through the, but besides from being pregnant through the production, from having your baby during the premiere, was there anything from the set that you'd like to share, or a particular memory that stood out to you?
Beyond the most incredible craft services I'd ever had. I had lobster that whole day. But beyond that, I would say probably working with Jordan. I mean, and just being so at ease and forgetting about what got us all there in that moment, but just really being able, again, to like, I love it as an actor when I can play. I mean, I think one of the biggest motivations for me in acting is that I get to be not me, and I get to be someone else. And it's really, really cool when someone lets you do that and honors that with you and just allows you to play. And he was so like happy. You rarely see directors actually happy. Yeah. And you know, even with our little scene there that day, he was just happy. He was coming in and he was talking to me about it and talking to me about, you know, how the parents, you know, could have easily been his parents, and like giving us so much background on this one little scene that all I could do was be like, "Ooh, this is cool. We're gonna play and have fun." And he was throwing us different lines that we were just throwing at each other and stuff. I'm not quite sure exactly which ones made it and which ones didn't, but I remember most working with Jordan, and afterwards he and I sharing just a parent moment where I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. He's like, what? And he, at the time, I think he had like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old or something. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I have another one at home. And we just had this kind of parent bonding moment where like all of even production fell aside and we were just talking about the joys of being parents.
There's definitely a certain quality to his movies where you can sense this energy, that there was a joy in the process of bringing them to life. There's this. Yeah.
Even me and you discussed this, and we're going to let you go. We don't want to take much time. I know sleep is important with that 1-year-old there, but one of the things we talked about, like you say, with Jordan and everything, is that to me and him have this discussion all the time about, we're going to, break the color outside the lines, do what we have to do. And one of the things we noticed was that we talked about with him being on Key and Peele, it was, you've heard the phrase before, buck dancing and cooning and doing all this other stuff. Like, as talented as he was, he had to prove himself from a comedic standpoint first before someone would even give him a chance in a different genre. So that's why I say it's important to see. I really feel like people who are meant to work together will work together, and I want to speak to you on that, to tell you, like I say, when we did our research on you and seeing you on screen and now talking to you, it's so comforting meeting you to see that you're a genuine person. It's not a show, and that as much as you love your craft, family still comes first. And so that's one of the reasons why we feel like no matter who we reach out to, we'll connect with the right people. So I wanted to first commend you on that, and then ask you if you can give any advice to a young actress or actor out there trying to do what you've done. What would your advice be?
It's been different parts of my life where I would give different advice, but as it would stand today, I think the one thing is you don't want to give the generics like just be you, or I would say fight the good fight, because you're gonna fight. You're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to fight to be sometimes taken seriously. Sometimes you're gonna have to fight to be taken funny.
Right.
Sometimes you're gonna have to fight to say, you know what? No, I shouldn't. This is not right. And when I was younger, we were definitely much more in the old Me Too days, where there was a lot of having to like navigate your way through yuckiness and seediness so that you could just get a job.
Right.
And I turned down a lot of things because they weren't right with my spirit. So like even in a Killjoy, that set was fun, and that those people that did that movie were good people. And so that was an example of what I'm talking about. But there's been other things on an even higher level where it wasn't right. And for women in particular, young women, I would say you have to have the power of no, because you'll live with yourself much better in the years to follow when you look back on the journey. So I always say fight the good fight, hang in there. Don't be afraid of the word no, meaning don't be afraid to say it, and don't be afraid to receive it, because you're going to get no. And it just means yes to something else. So you kind of have to just fight that good fight, and I hate to be cliche about it, but keep going, because you're going to have up years, you're going to have down years. But eventually, I really do think if you're moving with the positive spirit, it will all kind of lead you to where you're supposed to be. And whether that's doing your own work or like working with some amazing people, I can genuinely grateful that I've just worked with some amazing people. And when it wasn't amazing, it didn't work, and I was no longer around them.
Well, from the bottom of our heart, thank you so much. We wish you nothing but continued success. Tell the 1-year-old we say good night and tuck them in for us, okay?
Thank you, and good luck, you guys, with this. It's great that you're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So our next guest is an actor, writer, director, and professional stuntman, starring in TV and films such as CSI, The Mentalist, Private Practice, Snowfall, 911, Big Little Lies, General Hospital, Little Fires Everywhere, The Call of the Wild, and appearing in sketch comedy routines on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and Conan. He's performed stunts for everything from American Horror Story and Arrested Development to The Young and the Restless. You may recognize him from Us as Don, aka What the Get off my car guy. We are pleased to have Lon Gowan with us today. Thank you very much, Lon.
Our pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
The courage you showed to walk out that time of night to see a young teenage black girl standing on your car, and you in nothing but your Fruit of the Loom briefs walk toward her and say, come here, get out, talk to me. And just to see that courage you displayed in the 2000s era that we live in, man, how'd you do it? Talk to us about you and Us, how you got cast, man. Talk to us about the whole process and everything of working on that project.
That was fun. That was really, really nice. I got the call They wanted a stunt person who could act, because I got to get stabbed and go to the ground. And they weren't sure how they were going to shoot it. They knew he got stabbed in the Achilles, and my Achilles gets ripped out, is what happens to me. So I don't actually die, but but it's hard to tell the way it ended up getting cut. So they call me, but they can't send me any sides of what the script is. They don't want anybody to know because his other movie was out, and they don't want to give away what this movie is. So they sent me. Once I said, yeah, I can do it, they sent me some sides that made no sense to me whatsoever. And it was a dialogue of a dad talking to a son and being a little pervy towards the son's girlfriend. And I get them, I go, oh, okay, it doesn't sound like what you described, but okay. So I go to the audition, I go down to Bloomhouse, and where they're auditioning, and go in there, and getting prepared and doing it. And it was actually really cool because an actor walked in who I've known for quite some time and always admired. I admire the work. I've worked with them. I've actually been directed by them, but it's kind of that next level of actor for me. And so to be in that room with them could be really intimidating, but for me, it kind of lifted me up and went, I'm in this room with him. And it kind of gave me this extra little jolt of, all right, I got this, I'm in here with him. And so when they brought me in, I did the scene as it was written. And she goes, yeah, that was good. Could you give me a little more of the, kind of get out of here and don't be so nice or whatever. And I go, okay, it doesn't match the script, but okay. So I do it. She goes, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, can you give me a little more? I said, do you want you kids get off my lawn? And she said, yeah. And I said, oh, so you don't really want me to do the scene. You just want me to use the words and do the you kids get off my lawn guy. And they went, yes. And I went, oh, okay.
You just sent me that.
So I went back. And so it was like an improv game where you do you do the song Happy Birthday, but you throw a different emotion to it, or you play you do a scene, but you can only use gibberish, so it doesn't matter. Or you use you use a song lyrics, but and then they'll switch and do a different emotion. So it's just doing that. It didn't matter what the words were. It was all about the emotion. And so it became really, really fun to then play with that in the room. And it just so happened at the time I had that really cheesy mustache. Which oh yeah, it looked absolutely great, and they loved it, and they said, do not shave the mustache. Whatever you do, don't shave the mustache.
So
yeah, it's just full up paintbrush right on my face, and so it was great. And then got the gig, finally got the sides of what it was once we booked the gig, and then went to go shoot it. And because Shahadi had to play both parts, it took 2 nights to shoot this. So one night she's in, she's in the little girl, and they have to do all the car stuff with her stunt double. So the stunt double gets up on the car, Michelle is her name, and they gets up on the car, and they do that. And plus she has a stand-in to do the other part. So there's 3 of them now running around, which is really creepy, running around, and they do that scene. And then we just picked up where she slides off the car, and I step in, hey, I'm talking to you. It's that little bit right there. And we do that. And then we do the part where I get stabbed and Shahadi's running towards the camera. And it's just me, and it's great because I'm in this residential neighborhood just screaming my lungs out. And it was really, really fun to be able to do that and to play this scene and do that and go back and do it again. And we do that night. And a side note is at the end of the night, when we wrapped, all the lights go out. We're in this dark residential area, and all the crew is walking around with flashlights, and I'm picking up my stunt bag and getting my stuff. And all of a sudden the crew starts yelling all these lines out that I had been doing. So they're just, because it was so much fun. It was just fun to all of a sudden have this kind of cathartic, get the hell out of my life, doing all this. So they're yelling out that. So go back. And then the next night we come back and Shahade is dressed in the other outfit. And we have to go back and shoot all that stuff again. And then we pick up my stuff of me coming all the way in. And that's really, really fun, where we started with the dialogue as written. So I started there. I did that that bit of business. And it was a bit too mean. Um, and part of that was, and we saw it and we changed the cameras around. And so Jordan came over and said, well, try doing this, and so we did it again. He said, okay, this time do give me a more of a, oh, what the yeah, come on, man. Give me a little more of that. Because what was happening was, if I come out and I'm too mean and I'm too yelling at a little girl who's in trouble, then the audience wants me to die,
Yes.
right? They don't care about me. And my whole job in that movie is to show up and show how dangerous these people are.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent will they go, right? So they're already mad at the family, and they've hit them with bats, and they've chained them up, and they've done this kind of stuff. But how bad is it? And then when you see that a complete stranger, they don't care about me, we're all in trouble. Before it was the family was in trouble. Now we're all in trouble. So that's my job, to move the danger along. Somewhat, he's a little bit like it. He's like you said, how did you do your little skill? What were you doing walking out of your house and doing that? And so that's where we kind of came is to this kind of, oh, come on, man, get what the what are you doing? To do that. So we did that a bunch of times and a couple changes. And what was really cool is Jordan came over and he said, okay, I think we got it. I think that was really, really great. And he looks at me and goes, I mean, unless you want to try something. And that's like, what? As an actor, you go, what? That's really? Yeah, of course I do. So we go back and we do it. And so I tried something else and I did something, and so it was fun to be able to play, especially as somebody who's on the film for only a couple of days, it doesn't take too long to shoot this, for them to give me that, to say, go ahead and do it. And again, that's that from his sketch background, from his improv background, to say, let's see what happens organically. Same as Bob or same as Conan, that kind of, let's see what happens organically. Let's see what we can create here. Maybe there's a hidden diamond, a hidden jewel in there. So really, really fun.
Just a quick side note was one of the things I noticed, that the character, like you said, the young lady, she was a runner. And so to me, it was a more methodical thing to me. Like, she just didn't kill you. Like, even you said, like, she took out your Achilles. She only knew how to run. Yeah. So she was demobilizing you to her mindset. So
well,
to me,
I have a theory that I'll touch on in the episode about how the tethered can't kill. They can only kill the people that they're tethered to. So I like that you confirmed that.
She couldn't kill me.
Yeah, he did, because he said
you confirmed it for him. He did not confirm
really
that.
See it in the shot, but he said she did not off him. Yeah. But I'd love a character like yours in the that. You have such a great character in the movie, because like your character is my favorite character in horror films. Like the guy that's annoyed that he's in a horror film. Like, he doesn't acknowledge the fact that this is supposed to be scary. He just comes out like, what the like, this is inconvenience to me. And you kind of already, you greatly covered my next question of like how you landed on that character and how that character became who he was, because he is this guy that he's an asshole, but he's an asshole that you enjoy to watch.
What would you do if you walked out and they were, the neighbor's kids were up on your car? You can't. Yeah. You can't be too mean to them, but you also got to say, hey, man, don't get up on people's car. That's my Cadillac there. That's my big gold Cadillac.
What are you doing? Get out of here.
It was right up there with the this is what happens when you f*** a stranger in the ass on Big Lebowski. Like, as far as car
I was not
scenes
thinking
go,
that whatsoever.
Random,
you looked at me on the same page that I did not think it was.
Here's a really fun one. If you're into that movie, here's a really fun kind of in-depth thing of how this. There's a real surface level to this movie where you just sit there and you're scared by it. There's scary scenes. He does some great stuff where the Kubrick thing of putting the character right in the middle. Actually, when we shot that, there was a couple times where we shot it where Shahade ran straight at camera. So she's right there and you can see me in the background, but she's centered. So it has that kind of really cool focus. But the next scene is Napiera doing this. So you can't go from that face to that face. So they cut that. But one of the things that's really cool is when you start getting into the layers is that when the lead character is a little girl and she gets pulled down into the underworld down there, and she's kind of walking around, and you see all these couples and you see all this stuff. And even when she's a normal little girl and they're walking through the fair, to the carnival, the park there, there's a character there who is named Dawn. who is the younger me sitting there enjoying French fries with his girlfriend. And
Gotcha.
that's the kind of
That's
depth
crazy.
that he looked at in creating this, is that people exist in both worlds. And so they named that guy that. No, that's Don right there. That's the guy who we're going to see later on.
What was it? I know like Jordan Peele is that awesome moment where he gives you the opportunity to improvise, to try your own thing. So I already know that the answer, what was it like working with Jordan Peele, was excellent. But can you elaborate on that interaction a little bit more about, what that collaboration was like?
Oh, it was awesome. It was more of a conversation than it was directing, and more of him, instead of saying, "Do this," "Hey, can we try this? What do you think about this?" And having that kind of conversation, and that was really really cool to have that kind of respect given to me, especially again, there's that kind of perceived notion of stunt people not being able to act. So to have a director um, uh, say that, hey, what do you think about this, or how about doing that? But then on the other stuff that I watched him do the same thing. I watched how he worked and how he kind of created. And most of the time, the director's really focused on what's the picture, how does the camera, where's the camera, what's the thing, but he always took the time to kind of check in with the actors and the stunt people, and even the people that were the body doubles. Hey, how about this, how about doing that, and really like to kind of collaborate on that stuff. That seemed to be where he really enjoyed doing, and he laughs all the time, and after every take is excited.
One of the things I was going to ask is, well, you actually answered one of my questions. Were there any particular things you remember from set? And that whole them chanting your lines things really takes the cake. So what I was going to ask is, one thing I've noticed is that Jordan Peele's films beg for interpretation. So what was your interpretation, just as a fan of watching the film, of what Us meant to you?
It is interesting, and I've read so many comments from what it is, and of different people's talking about it. I think there is, like I said, there's a real surface element to it where it's just a really good kind of psychological thriller that creeps me out. My parents came to see. They actually come out from Vermont here and wanted to go see the movie, and I said, no, you don't. And they went to see it, and we went to go see it. And then after my scene was done, my mother leaned over to me and says, was that it? Are you done? I said, yeah, I'm out of the movie. She goes, okay, because it was too
Okay.
scary. It was too scary. So to even get into depth about what the movie's about, she didn't even have a chance. It was already creeped her out, and she would love that kind of stuff and that kind of layering, but she creeped her and my stepfather out. So they weren't going to stick around for that. So I don't know. I think there's so many layers about society, and there's layers about different people's experience within society, both racially and culturally and economically. That I think that it's one of those movies that you can look out through your own prism, and like most good art, can pull what's meaningful to you. And if you want it to just be another scary story, I think that's great. And it's kind of like Get Out. If you want to watch Get Out, just have it be a movie that creeps you out, that's great. If you want to see it as a movie that talks about kind of the racial divide, or what happens to people when they try and go into other cultures and other communities, sure, but it's also a really good scary movie.
Mhm.
And I think that's what good art does. I think that's what good music does. You can pull and just go, oh, this song is really really great, or wow, that really talks to me.
Any great film or great album invokes conversation. Like you say, you take what you
Yeah.
want from it. As long as it invokes conversation, then it has done its job as the artist should have intended.
But if anybody says that it's not deep or he doesn't have me, this is what he sent everybody in the.
Dope.
It's a big book. It's that thick, and it's all pictures, and then there's
Oh man.
like writings about different stuff,
Oh
and
man.
it's just fascinating, and it's all about that. And it's all about, oh, I went away. It's all about the images and the story. And yeah.
One of the questions I did want to ask is, of course, you're a stuntman, you're an actor, but I lean on the acting side. What is some of the advice you can give someone that is younger, older, who just wants to do this? What advice would you give them just to kind of get on the journey that you're on and to get started?
Well, I think, my wife and I, we talk about this all the time. And it is that once you decide that you're an artist and you're living the life of an artist, that that's the thing. Keep working towards that. Keep hustling. Every day is you can call it the grind, but I don't know if it's the grind. I think it's just the life. I think it just is what you do. And so make living the life of an artist a habit. Make it a habit. Make it like, if there are things that you need to do for your craft, if it's play the piano or if it's as an actor or an editor or whatever it is, make it as much of a habit as brushing your teeth at night. You can't go to bed until you brush your teeth. Same thing with this. You have to do your work every day. You have to apply to your craft every day. And whether it's the business side or the artistic side, keep feeding that. And then also, back to the beginning, the failures are important. The failures are important. They teach you where you're supposed to go. And whether that's in science or whether that's in dance or whether that's in art or whether it's in sports, those failures are important. That's what shows you the right path to go on. That shows you, that's how you get better. The getting to the point where you can't get it wrong. Not getting to the point where you can just get it right, but get it where you can't get it wrong, where you're confident in doing it every time. That if I got called tomorrow and they said, we need you to show up on Conan and we need you to do a sketch, I go, cool, I'm there. I'm not nervous about it. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to go do my job. And that's the way both myself and my wife work. And that's what we talk about. And if we get ahead of ourselves, we remind each other, hey, this is the gig. This is what we try and do. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
You are currently working on NCIS. You have the virtual special coming up with Santasia.
Yeah.
Can you let folks know where they can find you to follow your work, and also again how they can get tickets to watch Santasia?
Oh, let's see. Santasia is Santasia.com. So SANTASIA. Santa Asia is really what it looks like. Santasia.com. And you can see some of the short films that we've done, some of the parodies that we've done in the past, and our animation. And there's different things. And so this year we're taking the stage version, and this is really cool because we've been able to do this show off Broadway and take it off Broadway in New York. We were on the same street as Hamilton. We're the second best show on the street. We would have won the Tony, but it's all political. It's just politics. So we did that for a couple of years, and now to be able to, unfortunately but fortunately, film a bunch of our stuff and be able to create this kind of special. There's still people who it's part of their year. It's like watching Frosty on the TV. They need it, and so we normally do sold out houses here in Sherman Oaks, California. But this year we're going to put it online, so there'll be links of how to do that. NCIS, I don't know. I'm shooting that this week, so I'll be getting the haircut to match the NCIS folks. Get the haircut on the set. We'll see what that comes out.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations on all your success, and to be the second best show on the same street as Hamilton is no small feat. So
those damn politics, man. Hey, we'll vote for you next time, man. Listen. If we didn't say it, man, listen. Please let the family be safe. We know you didn't know us more than 10 days ago. We appreciate you taking out the time to come be a part of this ever evolving show.
Absolutely.
Listen, much success to your show. We'll be checking you out, and we'll let everybody know where they can find you. And again, thank you for taking the time out to visit us to TTFT.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. You guys stay safe.
Yes, thank you.
Ron, you too. Take care.
All right, that brings us to Room for Home Improvement. Benford. Yep, brought to you by Benford Tools.
Oh, my Tether voice is way better than my Tim Allen Home Improvement voice. Never thought that would be referenced in this entire series.
After you just told the whole world he sold coke like 10, 15 years ago? Okay.
So my issue with this movie, if I could change one thing, is it's a movie that sticks the landing perfectly, only to, in the end of the third act, keep running for some reason until they trip and fall down over too much information, too much exposition. When a movie tries to explain something and it ends up creating more questions and end up being distracting from the impact of the climax of the movie, that becomes a problem for me. And I think that happened here. I feel like it should have been left up to interpretation. Like, once they started getting into the thick details of government conspiracy, and now I have questions about the logistics. Like, before, when it was up to interpretation, the way I interpreted it was it's kind of a metaphor for, like, mental illness. She had this Adelaide had this traumatic experience when she was a kid, probably triggered by her parents, who were obviously going through some marital problems. Maybe this night at the carnival was like a night to, or the boardwalk was like a night to. It was supposed to be like, maybe it was her realization as a child, like, if we can't have a good time here, and my parents can't be happy here, then there's no hope. And maybe that was the night she realized that her parents might not be together. And so it's like this bipolar disorder kicks in at that moment. And there's, like, in my mind, watching it up until they started explaining everything at the end, was that there's not really all this stuff happening underground. It's all a metaphor for the bipolar side of her taking over at that point. And then when she returns to there as an adult, I interpreted it as it's bringing up all these feelings that she hasn't felt since she was a child, and at that point the bipolar switches back and comes back into control. That's how with that, I have no questions about the logistics of how any of this works underground. But when you tell me that this isn't a literal thing that's happening, that there are literally clones of people created by the government living underground, now I have some questions, such as the rabbits. In Tethered Land, they only live on rabbits. So they would have died almost immediately from starvation. There's actually a thing called rabbit starvation, because the only nutrient that they possess is protein. So they had no other nutrients. They would have died. And furthermore, what did the rabbits eat? Because rabbits are known for being creatures that eat way more than they actually need to. And when you go down there, you don't see any farm, any like grass area. No, like, what are the rabbits eating? Furthermore, the tethered don't cook the rabbits, so eating them raw would have resulted in food poisoning long before the rabbit starvation ended up killing them. Okay, so that's my issue with the rabbits. That's just one portion of the logistical problems that come up when I start thinking about all of these people living underground. The tethered and their counterparts are in lockstep, seemingly until they get above ground, and then they can work in their own autonomy. But while they're underground in lockstep, we only see one floor underground. So how does this work when their above ground counterparts are in high rises? Are tethers just like stacking each other up on top of, like?
They showed you that though.
Did they?
They clearly showed you. It isn't. It's so much of what you said, but I'm not going to break it all down. But just to simply answer your question, you saw people who were on a Ferris wheel that was going up and down. They were simply in a hallway, only turning left and right. They couldn't perceive height, or they did from what they showed. They couldn't perceive that.
So you have somebody on this in a room on here in an apartment, and a room right here in an apartment. So they are right above each other. How does that translate in Tethered Land?
It doesn't translate because see
So
like,
but see,
right next to each other. It's what you said. We saw one floor. We saw her go down one flight. Well, first off, why was that escalator there? But we saw her go down an escalator. How do we know it was in several escalators? Once we accept one escalator that came out of nowhere, we don't know how far it goes down. We saw one level. Again, it all goes back to the first 5 to 10 seconds. There are plenty of things without explanation. So they letting you know that no matter what they show you in the film, they're not wrong.
Well, here's my thing.
Clearly.
They could make it... They opened up a can of worms at the end of this
big
movie.
can. So yeah, you're talking about them not even cooking the rabbits. I mean, again, they said earlier that what they believe happened was they found a way to clone the person, but not the soul. If you don't have a soul, you're not hungry. So it's plenty of lore that says that.
Yeah, but they're still human. They're still clones of human beings, so they require what human beings require.
That's not true.
All right, so
Have you never seen the
right,
multiplicity?
let's say that they are surviving on the rabbit somehow miraculously. There are
I don't
still,
think they're surviving on the rabbits. Whenever somebody
Where are-
eats something, they're just eating that because that's all that's
It was
down there.
so pristine when you go down there. Where
Who's cleaning it up?
Yeah.
Where's the going?
And tethereds are dying of old age. They can still die down there of like just old age or their
I think they
counterparts
showed it
like going
perfectly,
out,
and
so-
you're not giving it credence to what happened. Because I made a joke about this, but I was just like, damn. When I was watching the film, I was like, I think in some sick way, I think when Lupita was a child, she left her dad. Was like, I gotta go. Like maybe her dad was so up there, she thought that maybe down there dead. But that's not why she did it. But what I noticed was, I'm like, damn, her dad's really up on top. But then I was like, damn, he's even more up on the bottom, letting me know that they truly, their DNA, their chromosomes weren't the same as ours. And the moment you accept that, then they don't have to eat. They do age. They are worse off than we are down there. But maybe they can, like, they don't need what we need. You can't say that they're based off of us, but they're not us.
Okay, I can accept that, but I would like to accept it in the form of a well fleshed out sequel that explains this can of worms that they opened at the end. Because the first one, Us would have been perfectly fine without the over explanation of how these people came to. They could have did everything they did and left it with that, and I did not need to know how they came to be. I didn't need to know any of that.
Where's the payoff? If we don't give them that, where's the payoff?
I don't know. I don't know.
And that's my point.
The
fans,
it needs to be expounded upon
it was though.
more.
And there you have it. I really, really searched hard to find things I would change about this film. But to be honest with you, I couldn't. There was only one thing that I found that I would change about this film, and it was truly just a scene, because it was the only thing that made me challenge everything I truly believed about the film. As you mentioned, that the tethered were connected, lock and step, not just up and down. Like when they came to the surface, they still, as you saw when another honorable mention badass scene when that boy walked himself into the fire. He knew that would do that. But it also showed you how smart the tethered were, because Lupita's character Red was there waiting for him. But my point, the only thing I would have changed was this. Okay, there's a scene where Winston Duke's character, Jason, when he is in the water with his doppelganger, and what he does as his first and foremost, I'm not even gonna bring that other scene back, but it shows you how even his doppelganger was corny, because when he fell out the boat, it was an old gag from like Looney Tunes, like the rope wraps around him, and he gets ready to kill him, and then it drives him off. But so that's a Looney Tune reference. But the more importantly is when
Even the way the life raft pops up without him.
It just really pops up. One of the things that really got me was when he's getting back on the boat, all of a sudden Jason's character realizes, like, oh man, like it hits him, like we're connected. So whatever I do to me, I do to him. And so Jason bangs his head against the boat, and it knocks his doppelganger out, but not him.
Yeah.
That's what really with me. I'm like, you've just broken the law of everything. That was the one. I'm like, who was there not to say, hey, Jordan, you're asking our guest on our show today what he wants to do. Why don't you ask us? Because we would have saw that and be like, no, that can't happen. If he not, now if they would have both knocked themselves out, I still would have been funny to me, because now it makes sense. Like, okay, two corny people. But when he and furthermore, if anybody should have got knocked out, it should have been the original person that banged their head on the thing.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of with me. But other than that, it wasn't too much I would change.
I agree with that one.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a damn near perfect movie.
Yeah. That brings us to our next point. Fxxks Given. All right, Dave, you go first.
I give this one four very solid out of 5. 4 out of 5, because it would have got 5 if they would have just not explained so much at the end and let me interpret it for myself. That so it's a good 4. And again, it's in my top 11 psychological thrillers. It's just it's really hard to dig into the semantics of like a universe you're trying to create in such a short period of time, the way they did at the end once the reveal happened. So I wish they would have either left it off or they'd create a sequel to just go into that universe a little bit more, because I would like to see more of it.
I would like to give it 4 Fxxks Given as well. I concur with you on that. I completely concur. Yeah, we are tethered. We're tethering it because of the fact that one of the things I've been cautioning you about mentioning earlier, and I've joked with you about it throughout the episode, is that I do agree with you. Is that, to me, if one of the things you notice whenever the little boy was scared or he was around the monsters, he had his mask on, and the very last shot of the scene, well, not the last shot, before they go to the overhead drone shot, is you see Lapita looking at her son and just like loving at him and showing him that love, and then he pulls down his mask. That lets you know right there she is the monster. So if there's ever a debate about, if there's a winning argument about who's the debate, she was the monster. But the reason why I say that, I say there was no monster in the film, and that's why I kept saying that earlier. The reason why I say that it was this is because at the end of the day, she didn't get out from underground and start working havoc on the world. She had a successful family. She was smart. She was a good person. She cared about her kids. She made kids. She just buried what happened down there so much. To quote George Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. She truly believed that her life was her life so much that she still blamed the other girl for doing that. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up earlier that we didn't talk about was the fact that there was a reason why when the underground baby Lapita came up, that she didn't talk. It wasn't because she was scared. It was because she had never used her vocal cords before. But the real, which also goes to our point of who the true apparent monster was, the real Lapita still could speak. The underground Lapita, the real underground Lapita could speak, but again, she hadn't used her vocal cords in years. This is why she still knew the words. She just hadn't used them because they don't communicate like that down there. So it was just kind of like it. And here's the part that most people miss, even real movie fans. The Lapita, the original Lapita from the beginning, that got switched, that we found out at the end. Once she got switched, she tells her, "I had to thank you." So when you see that happening with her saying that, "Hey, listen, I want to thank you for that," that's what she was talking about, because no one down there was dancing with such grace, was moving so much. She made the other people around her like, "Oh no, we got to treat you as different." And so it's like they both accepted their reality. Like that's what was crazy, is like they both buried about, like both of them switched places, but in order to survive, they both have to bury. Like the original Lapita had to forget. Like remember, you said it earlier. My mom, my dad can get on it. It ain't too much worse down here. Shit, f it.
Yeah.
My dad's a drunk up there. He's on dope down here.
I agree with the fact that there is no, for the most part of the movie, there's no monster. There's no real antagonist between Adelaide and Red. But I think they're alluding to the fact that maybe a monster was awakened in Red, who we thought was Adelaide the whole time, who we see driving away at the end. The way she smiles, it's almost like this whole experience reminded her of who she really was, so we might have a problem going forward.
Can I say one more thing before we end on this? Two quick things. It's going to be 60 seconds for both. You know how like word memory means something more. You can train a person by saying something. Early in the film, you hear Winston Duke's character saying Santa Cruz, Santa Cruz, Santa Cruz. It's reminding her when she's coming, it's f***ing her up. And then furthermore, you brought it up earlier, and I truly believe that this is the one time where I guarantee you that I'll put me on there. We can talk to the director, and he'd be like, "You got what I was trying to convey," or either the screenwriter, whoever wrote the script, says you got it. There are a combined maybe 2.5 seconds throughout the entire film to where you see Red be Red. And you're 100% correct. It was when she killed at the beginning, and every time she was herself and broke character, her son was right there and she did not know. It's like a brief moment of you hear what the underground Lapita would have done. Like it's that you can't escape where you come from. And so at the end, when she truly breaks character and is making all that noise, which her son is never made. Her son is hiding in the closet or in that thing where he's always hid. He sees her, and that's what she says. Everything's gonna be okay, right? He was like, no. And that was the moment I was like, got it. And so for you to say that earlier, that's why I say this would probably be one of the films that me and you 100% agree on. The only thing we don't agree on is like I feel like they wrapped it up perfectly. You feel like they wrapped it up too much. But one thing that cannot be dismayed is that it's not smart enough just to find out that she was the villain at the end. Figure out that she broke that at least 2 or 3 times for minuscule seconds. You had to be paying attention. And Jordan Peele, that's why you got chose.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Very nice conclusion to the episode. Very spooky that we ended up on the same page. That's appropriate. So that concludes this episode. Happy Halloween, everybody. Be safe.
You want to be a wolf? You want to be a wolf? Training day. Wolf. Training day.
Make sure to go out, get that drug-laced candy, have fun.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Where can he find us?
Be sure to subscribe. And next week, we will be coming in hot, remembering the 5th of November-ing with V for Vendetta. We have some exciting guests for that episode. Thank you very much to our guests today. Be safe, have fun, love your neighbors, and
yeah.
Peace.
Love. Soul.
Peace.
That was it, brother. Oh.
Subscribe.